And I think it's just sad when we start to disregard people because of their age. Why disregard an entire generation that has literally built a lot of the things we enjoy and use today? And what concerns me is that we've reached a point where many people seem to just dismiss wisdom simply because it comes from someone older or someone who doesn't fit in your camp. Wisdom is wisdom. Wisdom is timeless. And part of the problem are these divisive camps everyone's putting themselves in. It's really quite tribal. And I don't see how that is going forward or progressing when we're reverting back to tribalism. I get it. It's part of who we are as humans. But really, I thought we'd have a much more open mindset. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another episode in the Guiding Lights series podcast. I'm Joshua Kangley, and today I'd like to talk about something that has been on my mind for quite some time now, and it's the growing disconnect between generations, and more specifically, is what younger generations can learn from the baby boomer generation. For most of human history, elders were respected. When people had questions about marriage, parenting, finances, work, faith, or life itself, they often turned to those who had already lived through those experiences. Grandparents, parents, mentors, pastors, teachers, and community leaders served as guides. And to me, what's sad today, we're living in a culture where many people consult their phones before they even consult their parents. We search the internet before asking a grandparent. We seek advice from strangers online before talking to someone who has spent decades building a life. And I think we've lost something important in that shift. And when we stop to think about this, the boomer generation has lived through remarkable periods of history. They witnessed enormous cultural change. They lived through economic challenges, social upheaval, technological revolutions, and world-changing events. Many of them built businesses from the ground up. Many served our country. Many raised families while balancing careers and responsibilities. Many spent decades learning lessons through experience that cannot be taught in a textbook. And whether we agree with every decision they made or not, there is a tremendous value in learning from people who have successfully navigated life for 60, 70, or even 80 years. And one lesson boomers can teach us all is the value of hard work. You see, many grew up believing that success required discipline, persistence, and consistency. There were no viral videos. There were no social media shortcuts. There was simply the understanding that if you wanted something worthwhile, you had to work for it. And while technology has changed, that principle hasn't, because the path to any meaningful success still requires effort. Another important lesson is family responsibility. Many boomers grew up understanding that family was not merely about convenience. It was about commitment. Marriage required effort. Parenting required sacrifice. And strong families were built intentionally. Today, many people are searching for connection, stability, and purpose. And perhaps some of those answers can be found in listening to those who spent decades building families through both good times and difficult times. Boomers can also teach us about financial wisdom. They understood saving. They understood budgeting. They understood delayed gratification. And they knew that wealth was often built slowly rather than instantly. And today, in a culture that constantly encourages immediate consumption, those lessons may be more relevant than ever. But perhaps the greatest lesson older generations can offer is resilience. Life wasn't always easy, not as easy as many people have it today. Many experienced layoffs, recessions, personal setbacks, and family struggles. Yet they kept going. They adapted, they persevered. And they learned that difficulties are not always obstacles to growth. Sometimes, in fact, they are the very things that create growth. And that is a lesson every generation can benefit from. And here, I want to address something very important. Technology has given us access to more information than any generation in history. And that's an incredible achievement. But information and wisdom are not the same thing. Information tells us facts, it tells us something. But wisdom helps us apply those facts or that information. Information can tell us how to invest money. Wisdom teaches us patience. Information can explain relationships. Wisdom teaches us commitment. Information can tell us what is possible, but wisdom helps us understand what truly matters. And wisdom is often found in people who have already traveled the road we are walking in. And I sometimes wonder what would happen if more young people sat down with their grandparents and simply asked questions. Like, tell me about your life. What mistakes did you make? What would you do differently? What advice would you give me? What helped you through difficult times? Those conversations might be more valuable than we realize. The truth is, our elders are living libraries, and within them are decades of experiences, lessons, victories, failures, heartbreaks, successes, and wisdom. And every time one of those stories goes untold, we lose something of value. So perhaps the challenge for us all is find someone older than you. Find a boomer. Sit down with them. Ask them questions. Listen carefully and learn from their experiences. Because here's the thing. Wisdom is one of those few treasures that grows more value as it ages. Because wisdom is one of those few treasures that grows more valuable with age. And if we're willing to listen, there are still many people around us today who have much to teach. Thank you again for listening to today's episode. For more positivity, good news, and uplifting messages, you can always go to guidinglights.org. That's guidinglights.org. Until next time, keep looking for the guiding lights that help illuminate your path, and never stop learning from those who have walked the journey before you did.